Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be unboxing and reviewing this 1/24th scale 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle SS396 made by Maisto, or Maisto, depending on how you like to pronounce their name. I actually got this model for my birthday this year from a good friend of mine. I've actually been friends with him for 8 years now as of filming this video, so I really appreciate him getting this for me. He got this model for me from Target, actually. And I kind of forgot that sometimes Target does sell 1/24th scale Maisto models there. I haven't been to Target for quite some time, but he found this for me and he was able to get it for me. So I'm very grateful for that. Happy to have him as a friend and definitely happy to have this as a model as well. As you can see, it's in this, I would say, new style of Maisto Special Edition box. I haven't actually seen this style of box before because I have seen photos online of some of Maisto's new releases for 2025 and 1/24th scale. And they've all been in Maisto's kind of typical white special edition style box. So I'm not sure if this is a new box design that they're launching or what. It does have 2024 copyright dates on the underside, as you can see here. So not totally sure, but the box I think does look cool, especially pairs up well with the blue car in here. So not totally sure about the box design or if Maisto is in fact launching a new style of box for their 1/24th scale special edition series cars. Speaking of the box, does say special edition on the bottom portion right here. You also see it on the top of the box as well. And then you have it also on the side flaps. And then of course you have the Maisto branding all throughout the box as well. And then on the back here you have some of the other diecast series, I guess we'll say, that Maisto offers. Of course you have the Premier Edition and Special Edition in 1/18th scale, as well as the Assembly Line series of model kits at 1/24th scale. And you kind of already saw the bottom has all the different licensing information down here. And then of course you do have the license by GM sticker and QR code because this is modeled after a GM product or a General Motors product. And then of course you got the name of the car on the front of the box as well. So Maisto has actually been making this particular model for quite some time now. They actually released it all the way back in the early to mid 2000s, I want to say. And Maisto has always sold it in this really nice metallic blue that you see here. And for a while, they also sold it in a gloss black as well. And the gloss black version essentially was the same, but it was just gloss black. It had the same wheels, same black interior that you see on this blue version. And Maisto also in the past made kind of a custom version of this model. The Design series and the All-Star series, they were both, or they are both, I should say. I'm not sure if the All-Star line is still sold by Maisto, but essentially these were kind of modified custom cars that they made in various scales. They had kind of custom, lowrider looks to them, kind of flashy paint jobs, custom wheels, a lot of, chrome details and bits on the interiors as well as the engines. And what's interesting about their All-Star / Design series Chevelle is that it actually had a Corvette engine in it. I saw pictures online of those models like all opened up, like the opened up doors and the hoods and everything like that. And the interiors also had quite a few different features in them as well. So I would say this review will probably not necessarily apply to Maisto's modified / custom version of their 1/24th scale 66 Chevelle casting, but definitely if you're looking to get the stock version from Maisto's special edition 1/24th scale series, this review will absolutely apply to that. But I just wanted to make you all aware that you can essentially get a second version of this model. But as of right now, you can only get the stock blue version of Maisto's 1/24th scale 66 Chevelle casting. And as a result, this is the most common version that you'll be able to find. And in terms of price, you will more than likely find this online for usually as low as $10, maybe on like eBay or something, for a loose out-of-the-box version with potential, damaged or missing parts, to upwards of $25 or even $30, depending on which version of the model you are getting. And again, the black version does seem to be kind of uncommon compared to the blue version. So expect to pay more for that. We're going to go ahead and get this unboxed, and I will share my thoughts on it in terms of its quality and everything like that. So we will get out the model, take it out here from this side. You got that little flap. And then, oh, interesting, even the inside cardboard's actually blue. On the other Maisto Special Edition style of box, it's all white on the inside. There's the Chevelle. Looks pretty good already. Pull it out. And there you have it. Does look a little bit dusty, but that should be easy enough to clean off. But wow, look at that blue. Looks super cool. This will likely be held down by 2 screws, so we'll go ahead and get those off next. Easy enough. But yeah, I'm always grateful to get model cars as gifts. My birthday was made that much more fun because I was able to get a new model for my collection from my buddy. So that worked out really good, I think. But get this other screw out. Maisto uses kind of these weird screws to hold their 1/24th scale models onto these cardboard bases, I guess we'll call them. I don't know. And sometimes they get sort of stuck, like this one you're seeing right now. There we go. Yeah, here's how the screws look. I know you see me struggle to get these out in some videos, but that's what I was dealing with. So get this out of the way. But it looks like this is held down, or I should say, the doors and hood are held shut by these different straps on here. You have kind of this rubber band holding shut the hood, and then you have this plastic strap that holds shut the doors. But I should be able to just pull this off, I think. Yep. Simple enough. Usually it takes a lot more effort to get that thing off. And this band, there we go. That was, I think, probably the easiest shipping strap removal I've ever done on a Maisto model. Usually I gotta get scissors or, be ripping and tearing away at stuff, but that was really simple. Glad to see that. Here's the Chevelle out of the box. I'll dust it off real quick. All right, let's take a close look at Maisto's 1/24th scale 1966 Chevelle SS. Now, the Chevrolet Chevelle was produced between 1964 and 1977. It was available over the course of several different generations and several different body styles as well. The first generation was produced between 1964 and 1967, and it was restyled for 1966 to what you see right here with this 1966 Chevelle model. Now, the Chevelle SS, which stands for Super Sport 396, was equipped with a 6.5-liter 396 cubic inch V8. So this, of course, is one of the sought-after versions of the Chevelle as well. And like I said at the beginning of the video, Maisto has been producing this particular 1/24th scale model for quite some time now, the better part of 20 plus years. So it is fairly simple to find, especially if you opt for this common blue version, which I do think I prefer over the black version. The black version does look really cool though. This is a metallic blue finish, and the black version is a gloss black finish. But in general, I think Maisto did a good job with this particular model. But of course, there are some aspects that can be improved upon. But I'll talk about those as I review the model here. But I think Maisto did an overall great job with capturing the look and shape of this model. The Chevelle is quite the iconic muscle car from the 1960s. I think a lot of people do prefer the second gen, like 70 to 71 era Chevrolet Chevelles, but I always did like the 1960s Chevrolet Chevelles and the Pontiac GTO, which essentially was Pontiac's version of the Chevelle. And I think it especially looks good in certain colors as well, like this blue that you see here. But Maisto, I think, did a good job capturing the look and shape of this car for sure. The model, I would say, is true 1/24th scale, so I always like to see that. In the front here, Maisto, I think, did an overall good job with the details that you can see. This grille looks like it's actually perforated, but it is not. It's actually a very well-textured piece of plastic mesh. And then you have the SS badge in the center in chrome, which looks really cool. The headlights look good as well. They are round like you would see on the real vehicle. And yeah, there are some obvious pegs in them, but I believe that's where you would kind of see the headlight bulb if this were the real vehicle. And then you have that nice chrome bumper down there as well with the Iowa license plate. it says 396 on it, which is a interesting touch. Paint quality, I would say, is quite good on this model. And you can see the sparkly metallic finish in this lighting here. And it does look really well done. There were a couple of spots I noticed on my model that were almost like they were unpainted, or it was kind of like a weird, like reflective chrome, almost like maybe some chrome like overspray got on the model. It was just a couple of like minor speckles. You can actually see where one used to be right here. I actually had a blue marker that was pretty close to the paint finish on the model. So I just kind of touched it up a little bit. And from a far distance, you really can't see it. Of course, now that I pointed it out, you're probably looking right at it. But that's just a factory defect for my model. I don't think that's a big concern to be thinking about if you're considering purchasing this model. But aside from those couple of minor defects, I think the paint finish on the model is excellent. Nice and smooth throughout. And again, the metallic blue really, I think, suits this car quite well. Then, of course, you have the badging on the sides of the model as well. You got this flag badge on the side here. And I believe it says 396 and then 5.6 V8 on there. I can't really read it. It's quite small, but the real car would have that, and Maisto does include that on here. And then you have the Super Sport inscription back here done in silver, which looks really well done. Has a nice reflective look to it. And then you have the plastic side mirror on here, which is actually quite a bit loose, but that's easy enough to just pull out and then glue back in again. I think I'll just leave mine alone, but just keep that in mind if you happen to get the model that you might have a bit of a loose mirror. But as long as you don't mess with it too much, it should not be a problem. Then you have the painted on silver door handle and door lock as well. Nice wheels and tires. They look pretty close to what you would see on the real life Chevelle. Nice chrome finish on the wheels as well. Always like to see that. Back here looks good as well. You have the Chevelle inscription, SS396. Nice looking taillights as well. They have this interesting curvature going on. And of course you would see that on the real life vehicle. I do like how Maisto captured that back here. There are a couple of obvious pegs in these taillights, but not really a big deal because during this time, a lot of Maisto's 1/24th scale models had painted on taillights that really did not look that great. But this one apparently is an exception, unless Maisto somehow updated or redid this model in the course of its 20+ year production run and put in some separately cast plastic pieces for the taillights. Highly doubtful, but at least you have the separately cast plastic taillights back here, and I think they look quite good. And one kind of weird feature, or lack thereof, I guess I should say, of this model, the windshield wipers are actually molded into the metal, which looks really weird. I mean, you would think they would at least paint them silver to make them look like wipers, but no, they're actually molded into the metalwork of the car. I don't think I've ever seen that on a Maisto model, and they don't really look that good, but I mean, you can't really tell from a distance, but when you look up close, you kind of think, huh, those match with the body, but not really a big deal. I think all of the other good build quality and details of this model certainly make up for that. And if this model were to be re-released today, you would probably see some better detailing with these wipers for sure. Opening features, you don't have an opening trunk because most of Maisto's 1/24th scale models do not have opening trunks. But you do, however, get the opening hood, which opens up like so. Now, the engine detail, I would say, is decently done for a Maisto 1/24th scale model. The engine is just one single piece of plastic. There's a little bit of a three-dimensional depth to it, but not a whole lot. And I'm guessing if Maisto had produced this in 1/18 scale, you would have seen more detail in the engine bay. But I think for a 1/24 scale model, what you see with this V8 in here looks decently done. I think a little bit more detail would have been welcome. Like, I'm sure there's some kind of like inscription, like, you know, V8 or something in here, but you don't see any kind of like, you know, warning labels or any kind of printing in here. But at least there is some color going on. I'm sure some other budget manufacturers would have just made the entire, you know, engine bay black, or if they even had like an opening hood. But at least for the Maisto model, they do put some detail in there. But I think a little bit of more detail would have been welcome. But that being said, the car does look awesome when you have the hood raised like that and have it up on the shelf. Looks up really cool. And the hood is nice and strong when you open and close it. And it does open up on dog-leg hinges, as you can see right there. You also get the opening doors on the model as well, which open up like so. One interesting feature that this model has is that the seat backs are actually adjustable somewhat. I say somewhat because, as you can see right here, when you move it, it doesn't really stay in place. I'll try it with this one here. Yeah, they just kind of go back to the, yeah, well, at least they move. Maisto occasionally did include that in their older 1/24 scale models. It looks like they kept that feature in this casting because it's been produced for such a long time. So interesting feature there. And speaking of the seats, I think they do look decently done for a 1/24 scale model. They seem to have the overall accurate look and shape to them compared to what you would see on the real-life Chevelle. And then with the door panels, there's some detail on them. I do like how Maisto painted on some of that silver trim that you would see if this were the real-life vehicle. Kind of hard to say. You can get a better look at it right there, a slight bit. And you also have the molded-in door handles and window cranks as well, which is a cool touch. Doors do not open that wide, but at least they open up to begin with. As far as the rest of the interior goes, not a whole lot to really see in here in terms of details and whatnot. The dashboard, I think, is decently done. It is the overall accurate shape compared to what you would see on the real-life vehicle. I believe there are a few buttons molded in there. You can actually see the radio molded in the center right there. And then you have a few buttons molded in behind the steering wheel as well. And the steering wheel does look good. It does have some silver detail on it, so I do like to see that. And then you can also see the molded-in pedals as well from this side of the car. So Maisto, I think, did a decent job with the interior. I think a little bit more fine detail on the dashboard would have been nice to see, like maybe some colored in buttons and whatnot. But I think for, you know, a budget grade 1/24 scale model, the interior of this model, I think, looks pretty good. Close up these doors. So this being one of Maisto's older 1/24 scale castings, this certainly has some of its flaws, like the wipers that are kind of molded into the metalwork, and the slight lack of detail on the interior and on the engine bay. But aside from that, I think this is definitely a solid model to add to your collection, especially if you happen to be a fan of American muscle cars like I am, or if you're a fan of Chevrolets or of the Chevelle in general. I think this model does certainly hold up well with Maisto's more recent releases in 1/24 scale. And I always like to see when Maisto produces a model for a long period of time, because that means you know that it's quite a popular model and quite a good model as well in most cases. So I definitely would recommend getting this model if you can find it for a good price. So feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on this model or on my video of this model. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.